The story looks like a compelling school-based action and gang war drama, with a powerful blend of friendship, bullying, family responsibility, and self-growth. Initially, Tian appears to be a quiet, responsible, and family-oriented boy, but he gradually becomes a source of hope for the weaker students, standing up against the school's most dangerous gangs. Tian, a resident of Seoul, South Korea, lived a simple life with his mother and younger sister Soa. His father died when he was a child, leaving his mother responsible for the entire family. Struggling with poverty and hardship in the village, they eventually moved to Seoul to secure a better future for their children. A new place, a new city, and a new school. Everything was different for Tian. His mother wanted him to focus solely on his studies and avoid conflict or trouble, as the family's hopes now rested on her. His younger sister Soa, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. Mischievous, stubborn, and unobtrusive. Tian was often troubled by her behavior. On his first day of school, Tian was on his way to school when he saw some boys surrounding and harassing a weaker boy. The boy was Sujin. Some of the bullies were demanding his pocket money. When he refused, they began beating him and snatching his wallet. Seeing all this, Tian was furious, but remembering his mother's words, he restrained himself and quietly left. Upon arriving at class, Tian realized that Sujin was his classmate and sat next to him. Sujin tried to avoid Tian's gaze, ashamed that Tian had witnessed him being beaten. A short while later, the same bullies stormed into the class again. Their leader angrily approached Sujin and said, "Why, you complained about us to the principal. Where did you get so much courage?" Frightened, Sujin immediately clarified, No, I didn't say anything, I just came straight to class." In reality, it was Tian who had brought the complaint to the principal. He had been silently staring at the boys. Then the gang leader noticed Tian and suspected he had filed the complaint. In fact, Tian had told the principal everything, and he had been silently looking at the leader. The leader suspects Tian of doing this, as Sujin lacks the courage. He tells Tian, "On the first day of school, you started following us. I know you did it. It's the first time, so I'm forgiving you. Maybe you don't know about us. Be careful from now on." But Tian continued to glare at him angrily. The leader said, "If you look at me like that, I'll pluck out your eyes. Don't make that mistake again." He then walks away. Sujin then asked Tian, "Did you really complain? If you did, don't do it again. You don't know about them. They're a very dangerous gang. Stay away from them." Tian asks, "What's their gang leader's name and where does he get so much power?" Sujin tells him, "The leader's name is Jhuntai, who previously attended a high school in a distant village." When Tian asks the name of the school, he realizes it's the same school in his own village. Hearing Jhuntai's name, he recognizes him. In fact, he and Jhuntai went to the same school as children and were very good friends. However, Tian didn't tell anyone about this. Now, after finishing school, Tian was returning home when he suddenly saw a boxing club on the side of the road, the city's largest. Tian had been very interested in boxing since childhood, so he decided to learn boxing there. He went straight inside and called out to the people there, but there was no one around. Then Tian put down his bag and started practicing there himself. Just then, the coach came and said to Tian, "You're not without courage. How dare you touch our club's belongings without permission?" Suddenly, hearing a stern voice from behind, Tian turned around. The club coach was standing in front of him, anger clearly visible in his eyes. Tian replied calmly, "I called out several times, but no one was there, so I thought I'd practice a little." His eyes were filled with a passion for boxing. He continued without hesitation, "I want to join this club today." The coach looked him up and down and handed him a form saying, "Fill this out, and come tomorrow." But Tian immediately said, "I don't want to wait until tomorrow. I want to start training today. I want to become as strong as possible, as quickly as possible." There was such determination in his voice that even the coach fell silent for a moment. Tian's training began that very day. On the very first day, the coach made him jump rope 5,000 times as a punishment. Perhaps he thought the new boy would tire out after a while and give up. But Tian was different. While other students began to gasp in a short time, Tian continued to jump rope. He completed not just 5,000 jumps, but more than that. There was definitely fatigue on his face, but there was no sign of giving up. After this, when the coach was training a professional student, Tian was standing at a distance and watching every movement very carefully. He was not just watching, but after understanding every technique, he was trying to do the same himself. Seeing his hard work, it was clear that boxing was not just a hobby for him, but had become a way to change himself. That night, Tian was sitting at home doing his homework. Suddenly, his eyes fell on the clock on the wall. It was quite late, but his younger sister Sova hadn't returned home yet. Worried, he immediately called her. As soon as he picked up the phone, he heard loud music and the sound of people. Sova casually said, "I'm at a party with friends, I'll be late." In reality, she was at a club with her new boyfriend, and Tian could tell from the sounds. He said sternly, "That's enough, come back home right now." But Sova ignored him and hung up. Chan knew full well how dangerous this city was, so without delay he set out to pick her up. Walking down a deserted street at night, he suddenly noticed some boys. Jhuntai was sitting on the side of the road drinking with his gang. Just then Jhuntai noticed Chan and called him over. He asked Chan his name and Chan replied Chen. Jhuntai then asked Chan which school he attended. Chan immediately replied, I'm not sure. Jhuntai recognizes Chan as his childhood friend. He calls Chan over and introduces him to everyone. He tells everyone that Chan's father died years ago, and since then they've been left destitute. He says that he moved to the city with his family a long time ago, but Chan has just arrived. At first he was nice, but after a while he starts belittling Chan. He mocks him, saying that he's still a villager, and just like before, Chan becomes extremely angry when Jhuntai starts talking about his father, saying that he accomplished nothing in life and died without doing anything for his family. Chan gets angry and quietly leaves the scene. A little distance later he sees Soa, who was talking to her boyfriend. Seeing Chan, Soa chases her boyfriend away. Chan becomes very angry at Soa and tells him to come home before dark tomorrow because this city is not good. But Soa says, brother, I'm grown up now. You still want to control me like I did when I was a child. I won't tolerate this. With that, she walks home, and Chan follows. The next morning after school, Sujin and Chan develop a strong bond. Chan brings Sujin home because although Sujin is a bit simple by nature, he's very talented in his studies. He's very good at math, while Chan is quite weak. So Chan decides to learn math from Sujin. Sujin explains math problems to him very well. But after a while, Chan starts to find it a bit boring. Chan brings him and Sujin food and suggests they talk for a while. While eating, Chan tells Sujin that he lost his father as a child. His father always wanted him to be a good student, something he failed to achieve despite his best efforts. But now, to take charge of the household, he would have to study well enough to alleviate his mother's suffering. Gradually, Chan and Sujin developed a good friendship. One day during a conversation, Sujin revealed the most painful truth of his life to Chan. He said in a low voice, I too lost my parents as a child. Now I live only with my grandmother. Sujin explained that his grandmother barely managed the household by picking garbage and used that income to educate him. Poverty and loneliness had made him extremely timid since childhood. He stayed indoors most of the time, away from the outside world. Perhaps this was why his entire focus was focused on studies. He had one dream in his eyes, to study quickly and become a big man, so that his elderly grandmother would no longer have to work hard. Chan remained silent for a few moments after listening to Sujin. Then a slight smile appeared on his face. You're not a coward. You're very brave, Chan said, because he knew that true bravery lies in not giving up even in difficult circumstances. Meanwhile, that same night, Jhuntai and his gang were partying at a club in the city. Amidst the loud music, alcohol, and noise, another gang suddenly arrived. The leader of that gang was Ingil. He was a third-year student at the school and Jhuntai's senior. Even the bravest of men would turn pale just by hearing his name. Jhuntai and his friends froze at the sight of him and bowed their heads in respect. Sitting on a chair, Ingil said arrogantly, Come on, take care of us. At his command, the girls from Jhuntai's gang began serving drinks. Just then, Ingil's eyes fell on Jhuntai's girlfriend. He deliberately pulled her closer and began dancing with her. Anger was clearly visible in Jhuntai's eyes, but fearing Ingil, he couldn't say anything. He just watched helplessly. The next morning, the same old scene unfolded at school. Some boys surrounded Sujin and demanded money from her. When Sujin timidly refused, they moved in to beat her. Just then, Chan arrived. He said in a calm but firm voice, Let her go. One of the boys laughed. It seems you've gotten too bold. If you want your own good, get out of here. But Chan wasn't one to back down. He said again, I'm telling you for the last time, let her go. Now the boy in front of him was furious. You think you're some great hero? What? He said, rushing to attack Chan, but the next moment Chan hit him so hard that he fell to the ground. Seeing their comrade fall, the other boys also pounced on Chan, but Chan was on a different level. He beat everyone one by one so badly that they were left in a state of disarray. Within minutes, the entire atmosphere had changed. The boys who had previously intimidated others were now retreating in fear. Chan's fighting skills were so amazing that he single-handedly defeated them all in an instant. Everyone was astonished to see Chan in this form, as no one had any idea that such a calm boy could fight so well. Hearing the noise of a fight in the classroom, Jhuntai and his gang arrive. Jhuntai is impressed by Chan's fighting skills, but he issues a warning to Chan. He says that he and his gang will do whatever they want inside the school. Chan should not interfere with their activities even by mistake, or the consequences will be dire. Jhuntai threatens and leaves with his team. Just then, a boy named Sango approaches Chan. Sango was very impressed with Chan's fighting skills. He shakes Chan's hand and says that he's rarely seen a fighter like Chan. He was very happy that someone had the courage to beat Jhuntai's gang members. Meanwhile, Jhuntai takes his gang to the school rooftop and curses them all out for failing to fight a mere boy like Chan and being so badly beaten by him. This was a great shame for his gang. Then one of the boys tells Jhuntai that he will not rest until he teaches Chan a lesson and will beat him to his heart's content as soon as he sees him outside the school. But Jhuntai, not wanting to take any chances, instead tells his boys to stay away from Chan. He had seen Chan's fighting skills, so he felt that a confrontation with Chan could only bring trouble to his gang. That day after school, Song and a friend Deco were waiting for Chan outside the school gate. When Chan arrived, they explained that they were very impressed with his fighting skills and wanted to learn fighting tips from him. They also wanted to give Chan a treat. Chan subsequently developed a strong bond with him. Song and Deco took Chan to a restaurant and treated him to his favorite food. When Chan asked why they were giving him the treat, Song explained that since coming to this school, Jhuntai had bullied him a lot, often forcibly snatching his pocket money. He had never been able to muster the courage to take revenge. But today, seeing Juntai's team defeated by Chan brought him great relief. He felt as if his revenge had been fulfilled. Therefore, this small treat was for Chan. Afterward, Song and Deco accompanied Chan to his boxing club. Chan told them that he too had been bullied a lot when he was in school in his village, so he knew how it felt. From then on, he began to transform himself, and upon arriving, he joined a boxing club to strengthen himself. Song and Deco also wanted to learn boxing from him. That day, Chan, Song, and Deco practiced together at the boxing club. Sometimes they sparred, and sometimes they joked and laughed. Gradually, their friendship deepened to the point where they were no longer just friends but a team. That evening, after leaving the club, Chan went to the restaurant where his mother worked to meet her. But the atmosphere there made him furious. Some drunk men were misbehaving with his mother. They were trying to force him to drink alcohol and were using abusive language. Seeing all this, Chan felt like breaking everyone's bones right there. His fists were clenched with anger. A fire was clearly visible in his eyes. But then he remembered what his mother had said. Never get into a fight. Chan didn't want to create a scene in front of his mother. So he somehow restrained himself and, without saying anything, returned to the boxing club. As soon as he reached the club, he began to vent all his anger in practice. He was constantly throwing punches, jumping rope, and pushing himself harder than before. It was then that he realized the coach wasn't paying any attention to him. Finally, Chan himself went up to him and angrily asked, "Why aren't you training me properly?" The coach replied coldly, "I already have a lot of work. There are many professional fighters here who are going to reach the international level. Why should I waste my time on you instead of them?" Chan's words struck a chord with him. He immediately replied, "I'm no less than anyone. If you don't believe me, then test me." Seeing the confidence in Chan's eyes, the coach became a little serious. He gestured to the ring and said, "Okay, if you think you're capable, then fight that fighter." On the other side of the ring stood a boxer who had been boxing professionally for the past 10 years. The other students thought Chan wouldn't last even a few seconds. But Chan entered the ring without fear. Initially, he simply studied the opponent's movements, trying to avoid each punch and waiting for the right moment. The professional fighter's speed and experience left Chan with no opportunity to attack. But gradually, Chan picked up speed. Now, he wasn't just dodging, he was also counterattacking. His powerful punches and determination astonished everyone present. Even the coach began to look at Chan closely for the first time. There was a moment when it seemed Chan would truly defeat that professional fighter. But then, the boxer in front of him took his chance and landed a devastating punch to Chan's face. The next moment, Chan fell to the ground. Everything went blurry before his eyes. He had no strength left to even get up. The boy who seemed close to victory just a few seconds ago was now defeated. Lying in the ring, Chan's eyes were filled with despair. Just then, the coach came to him and said, "You yourself don't know how talented you are. In just a few days of training, you've defeated a professional fighter. This is a huge achievement. If you train properly, you'll go far in the future. The truth is, I've been watching you since day one, and I knew you had something special." Chan's heart was filled with joy after hearing his coach's words. While returning home that night, Chan saw Juntai's girlfriend Hujin being harassed by a man from Ingil. He was forcing himself on her and, when she resisted, began beating her. Chan was watching this from a distance. Hunjin noticed Chan, but Chan walked away without saying anything. When the man began to mistreat Hunjin, Hujin punched him hard and ran after Chan. She asked Chan what kind of person he was. Shouldn't he have helped her? Chan curtly replied, "If her boyfriend was such a big-time gangster, why wasn't he protecting her?" Chan replied, he had no interest in meddling in other people's affairs, and walked away. A little distance later, Chan saw his sister Sova being tortured by a boy. In a rage, Chan began beating the boy, but Sova instead became angry at Chan because he was her boyfriend. This angered Chan even more. He said to Sova, "What kind of girl are you, letting your boyfriend torture you? My mother and I have never laid a hand on you, and this boy is hitting you. Don't you have any self-respect?" Sova shouted, "This is all because of you and Mom. I've been depressed at home since childhood. If Dad were alive, my life wouldn't be like this. You've always tried to control me, which has only made me more resentful." Chan was deeply saddened by Soa's words. The next day at school, Ingil arrived on the rooftop with his gang. He was furious with Jhuntai because the amount of money Jhuntai had collected from the students was so low. Ingil began beating Jhuntai and his entire team as punishment. Jhuntai then told Ingil that someone had complained to the principal, which is why they couldn't collect money from the students as before. But Ingil refused to listen. He bluntly warned them that this shouldn't happen again next month. After punishing them, he left with his gang. Jhuntai then told his team that since the day his gang members were beaten by Chan, his reputation at school has been ruined. Students no longer fear him as much as before and are reluctant to give him money. Therefore, Chan must teach them a lesson that will make them fear him again. But first, they must collect the money from the weak students, or Ingil will punish them again. Then, they go straight to a student named Peek, who is very simple. They snatch all his money and torture him, telling him to steal money from home or give it to them, or they will punish him. Peek is terrified, and Jhuntai gives him only half an hour. Peek runs home and steals his mother's savings within half an hour. Jhuntai and his team are overjoyed to see the money. Meanwhile, in the classroom, Sango and Sujan approach Chan and take him out because they brought expensive cigarettes. They put Deco on guard, and the three of them smoke and chat. Chan tells them that last night a boy named Dugjo, who is his sister's boyfriend, assaulted him. When Chan hit him, Dugjo challenged him to revenge. Sango explains that Dugjo is not a good boy, but rather the biggest gangster in their school, bullying weaker students. He advises Chan to stay away from him. Chan was returning home alone after school when suddenly Hajan stood in front of him. Hajan was Jhuntai's girlfriend, and her beauty was much talked about in school. With a slight smile, she said to Chan, "There's a party at my house tonight. Mom and Dad are out. You should come too." Chan, showing no interest, flatly refused, but Hajan wasn't one to give up so easily. She tried to dissuade him again and again. Suddenly Jhuntai appeared. Seeing Hajan with Chan, his face turned red with anger. He rushed over, grabbed Hajan's hand, pulled her towards him, and deliberately kissed her in front of Chan. He was actually trying to humiliate Chan and clearly signal that Hajan should stay away from him, but Chan seemed to ignore all this. He walked away without a word. However, Jhuntai's actions didn't sit well with Hajan. He felt as if Jhuntai treated him like a thing, not a human being. As he walked a little further, Chan realized he was being followed. Suddenly, some of Dugjo's men stood in front of him. Without a word, they attacked Chan. Their numbers were quite large, so initially Chan was overwhelmed. He fought with all his might, but it wasn't easy fighting so many people alone. Just then, Sango and Deco arrived. Seeing their friend in trouble, they jumped into the fight without thinking. Together, the three of them confronted the thugs. A fierce street fight broke out. Chan and his friends were putting in all their strength, but the number of opponents kept increasing. Finally, seeing an opportunity, Chan left with his friends. After reaching some distance, he breathed a sigh of relief and said to his friends, "If you hadn't come on time, things would have been worse today." After that day, Chan decided to transform himself even more. He realized that just being strong wasn't enough. He had to become almost perfect. Now he began working hard at the boxing club day and night. His training became more rigorous than ever. He would jump rope for hours, practice relentlessly on the punching bag, and carefully observe every movement of professional fighters. Gradually, his speed, strength, and reflexes became so dangerous that even the other students in the club began to fear him. One day, he even defeated his coach in a practice match. The coach also realized that Chan was no ordinary boy. Meanwhile, the friendship between Chan, Sango, Deco, and Sujin had grown stronger than ever. They now spent time together, practiced together, and stood by each other through thick and thin. They stood by each other through every adversity. Because of Chan, his friends had also become quite adept at fighting, so no one dared to confront them at school. Meanwhile, when Jhuntai went to give Ingil money, Ingil mocked him, saying, "I heard you guys are so scared of Chan. I'm ashamed you're in my gang. If you have the guts, prove yourselves." Hearing Ingil's words, Jhuntai becomes furious. He tells his gang that they will not rest until they take revenge on Chan and his friends. Meanwhile, we see Chan at a supermarket with his friends. They buy their favorite food and sit at a table outside. Suddenly, Jhuntai arrives with his gang. He asks Sango, "Why? You're becoming very famous in school these days. Are you trying to take my place in school?" Sango replies angrily, I have no intention of taking the place of a vile person like you, so quietly get out of here. Jhuntai becomes enraged and throws a cold drink at Sango. Sango was about to hit him too, but Chan calms him down and immediately takes his friends to another hotel. There, Sango tells him they shouldn't sit idly by. They are now a small gang but a very powerful one. Therefore, they should stand up against injustice and destroy Jhuntai's gang. But Chan says, what's the point of abandoning your studies and doing all this? What are Jhuntai and his gang doing? We should have nothing to do with it. Hearing this, Sango becomes furious at Chan and says, why are you talking like a coward despite being such a good fighter? They're deliberately coming to fight us and torturing school children. Shouldn't we stand up against them? Chan clearly states that he doesn't want to get involved in all this and leaves. His friends didn't like Chan's behavior. That night, as Chan was returning home, Hanjun came to meet him and forcibly took him to dinner. There, she was very considerate of Chan. But Chan couldn't understand why she was doing this. She was Jhuntai's girlfriend, so Chan wanted to stay away from her. But as they left the hotel, Hanjun forcibly kissed Chan and told him she had been in love with him since day one. She had been with Jhuntai only out of fear, but after seeing Chan, she understood the true meaning of love. Chan left without a word. When Chan arrived at his mother's restaurant, he saw the same man, drunk and harassing her mother again, using obscene language. This time Chan couldn't resist. When the man left, Chan cornered him and beat him so badly that he was in a critical condition. The next morning at school, Jhuntai and his gang approached Sango and his friends and challenged them to a fight. Chan wasn't there. Nevertheless, Sango accepted the challenge. A fierce battle ensued between the two groups. Sango had trained with Chan, so Jhuntai's men were unable to withstand his fighting prowess. Sango was overwhelming them alone. Just then, Jhuntai received a call from Hazan. She told him that she never loved him and could no longer carry on with this false relationship. Therefore, they were breaking up today. Upon hearing the news of Hazan's breakup, Jhuntai's anger reached its peak. He took out all the jealousy, humiliation, and sense of defeat within him on Sango. He began hitting Sango like a madman. Sango fought with all his might, but Jhuntai was fighting like an animal. Gradually, Sango's team began to weaken, and seeing the opportunity, Jhuntai's entire gang attacked the three of them. Within a short time, Sango, Deko, and the other boys were badly injured. Finally, they were forced to admit defeat. When Chan heard about this fight, he immediately ran to his friends, but as soon as he reached there, Sango lashed out at him in anger. Pain and anger were clearly visible in his eyes. "Is this what you wanted?" Sango shouted. "That they keep beating us, and we remain silent. Now look at our condition. What difference does it make to you? You don't even consider us your friends." Sango's words pierced Chan's heart like an arrow. Anger and guilt filled him. But worse was yet to come. That evening, as Sujin was returning home alone, Jhuntai and his gang ambushed him on the street. This time, they crossed all limits. They brutally beat Sujin so badly that he was left lying on the street, half dead. The next day, in class, Chan noticed that Sujin hadn't come to school. The teacher said in a serious voice, "Sujin was badly beaten by some boys. He's currently hospitalized." Hearing this, Chan, Sango, and Deko rushed frantically to the hospital. What they saw there stunned them all. Sujin's face and body were covered in bruises. He could barely speak. Yet, seeing his friends, a faint smile appeared on his face. But Chan couldn't bear it. There was only anger in his eyes. Dangerous anger. Looking at his friends, he said, "Enough is enough. I'll finish them all off today. Today will be the last day for Jhuntai and his team." After this, Chan, Sango, and Deko went straight to the place where Jhuntai and his gang always used to sit. As soon as they reached there, Chan, without any fear, looked into Jhuntai's eyes and said, "You guys have made your biggest mistake by raising your hand on my friend." Jhuntai said laughingly, "If you don't leave from here right now, then you will also face the same fate." But this time Chan was not going to back down. He directly challenged Jhuntai. "If you consider yourself such a big gang leader, then fight face to face today. If you win, we'll never stand in your way again." Jhuntai accepted the challenge. The next moment, a fierce battle broke out between the two gangs. First, Jhuntai's most dangerous fighter, Jian, faced Chan. Jian was proud of his strength, but he had no idea how much Chan had changed. As soon as the fight began, Chan pinned him to the ground in seconds. Seeing Jian's defeat, the entire gang attacked Chan simultaneously. Then Sango and Deko also jumped into the fray. The number of enemies was large, so for a while it seemed as if Chan's team would lose. But then Chan repeatedly saw Sujin lying in the hospital. Her broken face, her weak smile, that was it. Chan's anger exploded. He single-handedly destroyed Jhuntai's entire gang. His punches were so devastating that the opponent was unable to recover. Finally, he defeated Jhuntai. He was caught and beaten so badly that he was left half dead. For a moment it seemed as if Chan would actually kill him. But then, overcome with fear, Jhuntai folded his hands. "That's it. I've lost. Forgive me." His voice trembled. That day, for the first time, the entire school saw what true strength was. After this victory, Chan and his friends' confidence completely transformed. They decided that no one in the school would ever bully the weaker students. News of Jhuntai's gang's defeat spread like wildfire throughout the school. Now everyone started talking about Chan and his friends. Although the teachers later called them out and punished them, satisfaction was clearly visible on their faces. Because this time, they hadn't just won a fight, they had defeated fear. They tried to explain to the teacher that they hadn't started a fight without reason. Jhuntai and his team harassed every student, snatched money, and bullied them. Therefore, it was necessary to teach them a lesson. The teacher issued a final warning that if they fought again, they would be expelled from school. On the other side, we see a lad named Chungil, the school's most senior gangster. He had been in jail some time ago for a big fight and had just been released today. Chungil controlled all the gangster groups in the school. Returning to school, he learned that his men had lost to an ordinary student, and he was furious. He took his men to Chan's class and searched for him. Chan and his friends were not there. Chungil beat up some students and asked about Chan, but no one told him anything. Meanwhile, Chan and his friends were sitting and chatting. A student came running and told them that Chungil was frantically searching for them and would kill them as soon as he found them. Hearing this, Chan and his friends were not afraid, but rather they were delighted and prepared for a fight. Meanwhile, Chungil was beating up Jhuntai's friends because they had brought disrepute to the gang. It turned out that after losing to Chan, Jhuntai hadn't come to school and probably wouldn't. So Chungil handed over the leadership of the team to a boy named Tian, ordering him to restore their former fears to the school. Tian, along with his entire team, approached Chan and threatened him to reach the rooftop with his gang after class, or face dire consequences. Undeterred, Chan and his friends reached the rooftop and asked what the matter was. Tian explained that he hadn't called them for the LDH, but rather wanted to make Chan an offer. He wanted Chan to join his gang because having a fighter like Chan on their side would make their gang even stronger. Chan immediately refused. Tian gave him a few days to think. After school, Chan went straight to the boxing club and released his anger and stress through practice. He began training to become even stronger. The next morning, a new student named Deshin arrived at school. Suddenly, Deshin collided with Sango. Instead of apologizing, Deshin cursed at Sango and walked away. Sango became enraged and was about to punch him, but Deshin and Chan somehow managed to restrain him. Meanwhile, the boys from Tian's gang were bullying a boy from school and trying to forcibly take money from him. Just then, a boy named Chun arrived. He tried to stop Tian's gang from harassing him. This enraged the gang, who all began to beat him up. But it was revealed that Chun wasn't as weak as he appeared. His fighting skills were superb, and he defeated all the boys in Tian's gang in an instant. Everyone fled in fear. When Tian learned of this, he beat up every boy in his gang, as losing to a single boy was a matter of great shame for him. After his team's repeated defeats and humiliation, Tian's anger had reached dangerous levels. He gathered his entire gang and declared bluntly, "Enough is enough. This humiliation will definitely be avenged. Everyone, be ready." On the other side, the atmosphere was completely different. Chan, Sango, Deko, and Sujin were sitting in a small restaurant, laughing and joking. After a long time, they were spending time freely without fear. Suddenly, Sango became serious and said, "Think, now we have a name in school. People both fear and trust us. Why don't we use this power for good?" Everyone listened attentively. Sango continued, "We should start an anti-bullying club, one that protects the weak in school, so that no one has to face Sujin's fate. Everyone's faces lit up at her words. Chan also loved the idea. For the first time, they realized that their strength could be used not just for fighting, but also to help people. Everyone immediately decided to start the club, but their joy was short-lived. The very next day, Tian, along with his entire gang, stormed into Chan's class, furious. The entire class fell silent. Tian asked loudly, "Who attacked my people?" Just then a boy stopped at the classroom door. It was him, Dachun. As soon as Tian saw him, his face suddenly changed. He stared at him for a few seconds as if unable to believe his eyes. In fact, Dachun was no ordinary boy. He had once been Tian's closest friend. They both attended the same school and ran their own gang. Their friendship was so deep that people called them each other's shadows. But then one day everything changed. They got into a terrible fight with a gang from another school. During the fight, Dachshun's leg was so severely injured that he couldn't even stand properly. Just then the police arrived. All the boys ran for their lives. Dachshun lay on the ground, repeatedly pleading for help from Tian. "Don't leave me." But Tian didn't even look back. He left his best friend there to save himself and ran away. That day the police caught Dachshun. He was jailed and expelled from school. That single incident changed his entire life. After getting out of jail, he left the gang world forever and severed all ties with Tian. When Chan and his friends learned this truth, they felt very bad for Dachshun. After school, Chan and Sujin were practicing at the boxing club as usual. When Dachshun suddenly arrived, Chan asked in surprise, "What are you doing here?" Dachshun smiled slightly and said, "I've also joined this club." Gradually they began talking and soon they became good friends. After a while, they all sat outside the club, chatting and joking. But then some guys from Tian's gang arrived. As soon as they saw Dachshun sitting with Chan, their faces turned pale. They knew if two dangerous fighters like Chan and Dachshun joined forces, their gang would be in trouble. They believed that if Dachshun joined Chan's gang, their group would become even more powerful, as Dachshun was just as powerful a fighter as Chan. They went with Tian to tell him this news. Tian was terrified. He told his gang that he wanted to settle all scores with Dachshun. Elsewhere, we see Chan and his friends partying at a karaoke club where Dachshun was also with them. After partying for a while, Dachshun reveals that he had some work to do at home, so he first leaves the club alone. He then discovers Tian and his entire gang standing outside the club, and upon seeing Dachshun, they start chasing him. But soon, Sango and his friends also come out of the club, noticing this. They notice Tian's gang following Dachshun. Perhaps they intend to do something to him, so Sango along with two of his friends starts following them. However, they are not at peace. When they reach a certain point, what they suspected happens. Tian's gang attacks Dachshun. Because Dachshun is a very good fighter, no one can stand up to him at first. But then, a gang member hits Dachshun hard on the head. This weakens Dachshun, and they all begin to beat him together. Just then, Sango, Dachshun, and Sujin arrive and immediately start fighting them all. But Tian's men are so numerous that the three of them are unable to withstand them. Sang-ho and the rest of his friends weren't as skilled fighters as Chan or Dachshun, so they were losing the fight. Just then, Sujin managed to escape and ran to inform Chan about the fight. As soon as Sujin informed Chan about the fight, Chan rushed to the scene without a second's notice. On the other side, Tian and his gang had surrounded Dachshun, Sang-ho, and the other boys. Chan's friends were slowly weakening due to the overwhelming number of enemies, but then Chan arrived. Seeing him, his friends' faces lit up, as if they knew the tables were turning. Without a word, Chan charged straight at Tian. His punches had become sharper and more dangerous than ever. Tian tried to recover, but Chan wasn't giving him a chance to retaliate. These days of constant training had completely transformed Chan. Now he had become not just a good fighter, but a very dangerous one. Soon Sango, Deko, Sujin, and Dachshun joined him. The five friends formed a team and took on Tian's entire gang. A fierce street battle ensued. Although the number of enemies was large, Chan's team's confidence had increased exponentially. The five friends fought in solidarity. Sango used his strength to push back the opponents. Deko was attacking swiftly. Sujin, previously timid, was now fighting bravely for his friends. And Dachshun was surprising everyone by showing off his old fighting skills. But Chan was at the forefront. Watching him fight, it seemed as if he could finish the entire battle single-handedly. Eventually, Tian's gang was completely disbanded. One by one, all the boys fell to the ground, no longer having the strength to fight. Admitting defeat, Tian knelt before Chan. His voice trembled. "We lost. From today on, we will neither do anything wrong in school nor get in your way." After that day, the atmosphere of the school changed completely. Time passed, and the friendship between Chan and his friends grew even stronger. Now they were not just friends, they had become family. Fulfilling his old promise, he started an anti-bullying club at school. The club's purpose was to protect weak students and eliminate bullying from the school. The same children who had previously lived in fear now began to consider Tian and his team their heroes. Gradually, their respect grew throughout the school. Even major school decisions were now handled with their help. One evening, the 5 friends were standing together on the school rooftop. A gentle breeze was blowing and the sky was a golden hue. They all looked up at the sky and promised each other, "No matter what happens in life, our friendship will never break. We will stand by each other through every difficulty, and will always raise our voices against injustice." Their story ends with this promise and a smile.